Welcome to the WealthGenius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The WealthGenius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Let's go, Scott. Good to have you here. A lot of things to talk about in the industry. I know we can go down the MLI route. We can talk about investing in the U.S. There's all these things that we could talk about. But I think one thing we haven't talked about is your story of how you got involved in real estate in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know that.
Yeah, I would love to share that. And first, before I do, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. So yeah, it started, me and my girlfriend, now fiance, I was random and I applied for jobs all over Canada, the States, Mexico, everywhere. I was going to go wherever life took me. And it took me to a small town from Windsor, about 2 hours away, called Sarnia.
Sarnia, yeah, I know Sarnia.
Yep. So we moved there. The job that I received was there. And during that time, I started to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Wow.
So I got into...
Who did someone introduce you to that book, or?
No, I just knew I wanted more from my life.
And you went to chapters and you're like, I'll grab this book.
Yeah. I just was looking online as well, like financial books and stuff, and it came up as one that would be good to read. I was like, let's just try it. So I read it, and it was really good, and then that gave me the thirst for my investing journey. But it didn't start there. So then, I didn't make any moves, and then I saw that through Tigrant Learning, I don't know if you remember them, but they would host in Canada the Rich Dad, Poor Dad classes.
Yeah.
So I took a wholesaling class, and there was a rent-to-own class. So that's what got me started. So I took the rent-to-own class and the wholesaling class, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to be a wholesaler. So I'm young. I'm just entered 20s. So I found this property in Sarnia, and then I needed to find an investor because I didn't have the money. I found the deal, but not the money. So I found this guy in Toronto who said, I'll buy this place cash. You find it. I'll buy it. We'll move forward. So I'm like, okay, great.
Your first joint venture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I found this great place. I secured it for $56K and needed about $40K of work, and it appraised for $150 when it was done. So, it had some decent upside, 15 years ago. So I get it under contract, and then the investor disappears. He's gone, doesn't want to buy it. But I did a firm deal, I purchased it firm. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to just go through it myself. And the property really needed everything. So back in the day, like $40K, you could do tons of renovations. So I started renovating the whole property. I had a gravity furnace. I put in a regular one. And I did the roof. We really did everything. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm an investor now. And then so from here, I leveraged moving into the properties with the 5% down, buying them, living in them for a couple of years, then moving out, renting them out. And so I did that. And what was happening is my bank was saying to me, they're like, we don't know. We don't understand your file. We can't help you. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's easy. And so I would help them to structure my portfolio. And then it got to the point where it's like, I'm just going to do this myself. Why am I going to a bank? I'm going to be the bank. And then that's how I got into the lending.
Yeah. And you help a lot of our members and we appreciate that so much because you know what? Not everyone has answers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of answers for people that have one or two properties.
Yeah.
That's where all the answers are. But anything above that, we can't help you.
Challenging, yeah.
I remember, the first time that, the bank said had over like 8 doors or 9 doors, like, you're now a commercial borrower. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a commercial. I got like, I don't got, it's the way I thought. I'm like, I'm not this big guy, like, no, you kind of, we can't help you now,
Yep.
And, I've had a lot of great mortgage brokers, and I've had a lot of mortgage brokers that didn't know what they were doing. Yep. And I know the value of having someone that knows what they're doing.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing, but there's always those nuances and the change of rules and things that to look out for. So how much of your investing background have you brought into your mortgage business? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, what can a client expect from you as an investor-focused mortgage broker?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're right. It's hard, and I have a story that I'll share tomorrow on stage. I don't want to ruin it for here.
Yeah.
But pretty much, we bring all of the investing background. So when I hire a front salesperson, not the admins in the back end, it doesn't so much matter if they're investors, but the front end that's dealing with clients, we actually look and we try to make sure that they are investors or developers. We actually have 3 large developers on our team now, 2 of which are part of your community. One is a local Windsor developer.
And what happened to that guy? How come he's not joining?
He probably will. He's just busy. He's busy. But yeah, so what we try to do is let our experience help guide the investor and set them up for success. There's a specific order that we've discovered. If the client gets the financing with certain lenders in a certain order, they can maximize their financing options. Obviously, I'm referring to residential. Commercial is different. But just like you said there, where the bank said, oh, you're a commercial client. Well, when I worked at the bank, so that's where I started, they said the same thing. So I was like, okay, well, what does the commercial side look like? And that's where I discovered that you can qualify without income. They look at the cash flow of the properties.
Beautiful.
Yep. So that helped me on the broker side, but we can even do that on a single family house.
Yeah.
We can still use those programs. So clients that are being told, no, you have too many or your debt ratios are too high, we'll tap into commercial. They can still keep going. But yeah, no, we absolutely bring everything forward. We provide education and training, webinars, all kinds of things. But the goal is everybody on the team, I want them to be investors. Yeah. Collectively on the team, I will share this. It's a stat that I'll talk about tomorrow, but collectively on the team, we've actually went through over 1,800 tenants during our experience as being investors. So we have 1,800 worth of tenants that we bring forward in the mortgage investing where we help. So you know what I mean? Like we can give guidance and feedback in ways that others can't.
Wow.
There's just a massive amount of tenants, right?
And, what are some of the opportunities now in the lending world? Like where do you see things going?
Yeah.
And, in terms of all the incentives,
yep.
Like MLI Select and,
yes.
All of those beautiful ways of financing property, making it easier for investors and builders and land developers and all of that. Where do you see all that going?
Yeah, so I have a couple answers because we cover 3 countries, right? We're in Canada, US, and Mexico. Mm-hmm. So that's the goal. We want it to be sort of the go-to shop for investors no matter where they want it to go. Yeah. So like you just mentioned, the MLI Select, new developments, we're seeing a lot of that. Certain areas get potentially government grants as well to help build these properties. So we're seeing a huge uptick in that, obviously, with 3 developers on the team as well. That's part of why we're seeing a huge uptick as well, because we've got that experience. But we're seeing that. We're also seeing a lot of Canadians that are looking for other options that are going to the States. So we're kind of just seeing both. Yeah. The bigger multifamily stuff and then the Canadians investing.
What is like one of the biggest challenges for a Canadian to get financing in a different country?
Well, honestly, so we've been tracking every single lead that we have that wants to buy in the States, and where they get stopped is their entity setup. That's actually their biggest thing. The financing's not it. We've got it. We've got over 4,500 lenders that'll lend to Canadians. So it's just massive.
4,500.
Yeah.
That's massive. Almost more lenders than you have in
that
Canada.
Is more. That is more.
Think about that. More. You have more lenders willing to lend to Canadians to invest in the U.S. than actual Canadian lenders willing to lend to Canadians in Canada.
Yes. It's crazy. It's
wild.
Crazy. But if you think about it, right, the size of Texas, the GDP of Texas is almost all of Canada. Yeah, so that's why you can see, like, they just have so much more.
Yeah. I think I heard somewhere that if Canada was a state of the U.S., it would be the second poorest state. Probably.
And maybe the 51st state after what Donald Trump's saying. I don't know. Not to get political, but who knows. But yeah, so that's what we're finding is the issue, and we're innovative. So we know that, and I'm dual citizen. So what we're actually doing is we're setting up these entities in advance, like shell companies for the investors. and then we can assign them instantaneously. So there's no wait. So the investor can just buy now. They don't have to go through that whole process. So we're setting some up in Ohio with Thomas, right? So that's good. And we're doing some in Florida as well.
Wow. Beautiful. Love it. And then you said Mexico, which this is new to me. Yeah. I didn't know you were supporting people. Yeah. What's that process?
It's actually very much like Canada. It's tough in the sense that they are going to look at your income. It's very much income based. It's a little weird because they won't use rental income on the subject property, but they'll use rental income of your portfolio to help you to qualify. Slight differences. They'll go to 50% debt to income ratios. And it's Mexican banks that are lending. So it's straight up Mexican money. Now that's on the smaller residential side. We also are doing developments in Mexico as well. And we've got some U.S. lenders for that have an appetite for that. And that's cheaper actually because Mexican money, it's more costly than Canadian or U.S.
And what's next? Because it looks like you can help us in North America.
That's right. That's right.
Are we doing any other places or?
We're considering, we do have a lender who's a global lender. Like they'll do Dubai, they'll do England, they'll do China.
Wow.
So we do have access to that. But at the same point, we do kind of want to stay in our lane a bit too. We don't want to be everything to everyone because then it's like, do you know what I mean? It waters it down a little bit. But the end goal is anybody thinks of investment property financing in North America, that we're sort of the first choice.
And what's your top 3 tips that someone should consider when they're looking for money, right? Either maybe private money or maybe just go and get a mortgage. What do you, and they have a deal or they're looking at a deal and, they're trying to figure out, because sometimes I feel like I can swing a dead cat and hit 25 mortgage brokers. You know what I mean? So what do you think are the top 3 things that a borrower should be looking for in a mortgage broker?
Absolutely. So I would say number 1 is actually first dealing with an investment focused mortgage broker before you get JV partners.
But sometimes they all say that.
I know.
How do you know?
I know. Well, how do you know? I think the number 1 question then to ask the broker is, how much do you invest? What are your types of investment properties you own? What about your team? What do they own, right? And use that as your guiding light. But truly, though, from, to answer your question about how does an investor get money, without the JV partners, I've been able to uncover, like, even your previous podcast guest that was in here. She approached me. She needed partners and stuff. And on a deal, we were able to get her the funds without actually having to have JV partners. So people are shocked at the different programs that are out there. So having that knowledge helps. But then from there, obviously, JV partners, right? That's huge. And I think being part of a big community like yours, right? Like, let's say I have a deal. I can post it in the chat and be like, hey guys, this is what's going on in your private community, right? And I can say, hey, I need funds. Who wants to help? Whatever. It's a great way to get new partners.
Yeah, love it.
So you said 3 things, though. Yeah. So I think, dealing with the right mortgage professional and asking the right questions, finding the JV partner. And then there's also seller financing or vendor take-back financing. It's much harder to come by, but people would be shocked if you ask the seller, hey, would you finance this for me? I think they'd be shocked to find how many sellers that actually would to help sell their property.
Well, the thing about seller financing is that, first of all, people don't know how to approach that, so they lead with that. I don't think it's something you lead with.
No.
I think it's a result of going to you and maybe, the interest is just not there in that particular market. Maybe it's a tertiary or secondary market where you reduce the amount of people that you have available to lend in that particular market. Maybe there's a high vacancy. Maybe there's maybe you have to turn around this building in some way. And, you went to your mortgage broker and then for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So now they have to go back to the seller, and would be a solution, right? But it doesn't hurt to have, when you go to a seller and you come up with this plan where you want the seller to take on the financing, which is a great strategy. I think there needs to be an exit
Yes.
You know, so a lot of people jump in because it sounds so good, and sellers will agree, and then all of a sudden they don't have an exit. And I think there has to be some sort of process in some work done with a mortgage broker where they can tell them, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what's reasonable. This is what you need to. This is how long you would have to hold on to this deal for, and then you might need a bridge, right? So, what's the process, and how do you help, your clients, maneuver through like seller financing?
Yeah, like you said, it's all in the strategy. And I do want to call out the very important point because I get a lot of clients that maybe they don't have the down payment, so they're immediately flocking to seller financing, and they're going after, really strong markets, really strong properties. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. If you listen to what you said closely, you actually said high vacancies, and you listed a couple other things, right? So if there's a problem with the market or the property, that's when you're more likely going to get the seller financing. So I would say that. But I agree, you have to get a game plan, because in every seller financing that I've ever seen, there's a deadline, right? The seller will finance X amount at X percent until X date, right? So you got to get out of that. So like you said, it's just careful planning and sitting down with the customer and finding out what's what. Maybe the property and the reason why they need the seller financing is because it doesn't cash flow. Maybe they have some legacy tenants that they have to get out. Right? Maybe cash for keys, different programs, get them out, re-rent the property. Maybe they have to renovate the property, right? Maybe they need to, if they want to tap into the MLI Select program, right? Maybe they need to make the building more green or accessible, right? There's different things that they can do, but it's all about the strategy. And every deal and every client is different. So the strategy is different. And what I try to do is I do try to speak to as many clients myself up front. And then I'll say, okay, you're going to be best with this person to help you with this task, right? So then they're getting access to the best person on our team to help them with whatever that challenge is, or to create that plan to get them out. But you're 100% right. You need that exit no matter what. Otherwise, you're stuck, right? What's the seller going to do? Maybe they might renew, but what if they really need the money? You know what I mean? You don't know why they're selling. So you got to have that exit lined up.
There's something about you that I've noticed, that you over-deliver with your clients. I see you care. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from?
Probably God. but like I just...
Because I see, that I see other mortgage brokers, and I see what you're doing in terms of you've built a community, you give value, you have this calculator that you give. Like there's always, you always are giving so much. Like, where does that come from? So is it someone screwed you over, or
no,
you know what I mean?
No.
Like this, you compelled to like give so much.
So when I first started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I went on sort of this self-improvement journey, and Jim Rohn, I actually was listening to one of his speeches.
Oh, I love Jim Rohn.
And he said you have to give more value. And you know how he talks, so he like extended value. You got to give more value. And he said, if you do that, you don't have competition.
Love it.
Right? Once people see that you're doing more. And so that really stuck with me, right, in my 20s. So now I'm 40. So it's like that's been ingrained into me, and then I've just kind of have led with that. I've always tried to do something extra, because the way I see it too, right, you have two choices. Even if, pretend it's a dentist. There's a dentist here, a dentist over there, and they're the same price, right? Who are you going to go to, right? You're going to start looking at the extras that you get, and that's where your decision's going to be at. Because a lot of brokers, the lending is the same price, right? Depending where it is. What differs is the strategy and the add-ons that you get. So that's what we try to do.
And I still haven't seen many brokers focus on North America, right? Like U.S. or Canada. How did that? Is it because you're in Windsor that you have more of a demand, or because you're just right there across the bridge, right?
Yeah.
Where did that kind of idea come from?
Well, I mean, being dual citizen, I always kind of thought, it'd be cool to open up a mortgage business in the States. So it's always kind of like an idea in the back of my mind. And then we had COVID. So COVID was the catalyst for me, because I remember hearing Doug Ford saying, tenants don't have to pay rent if they don't want to.
Oh, that hurt.
And then
that was
shutting
painful.
down tribunals. And I'm like, you know what? This is really bad. And then investors were on the sidelines because, and let me take a step back. Not all investors. There's still deals to be had in every single market.
Yeah.
But a lot of the investors were on the sidelines, right? Because of all of this. So then I'm like, well, I'm an investor. What would I do, right? And I'm like, well, I would invest where it's easy, where they want my money, where I can still make this work. So I'm like, okay, well, right now that's the States. So it really opened it up. And I think that was around the same time that you guys started your U.S. thing. So we just kind of connected.
Love it. Great to know you, sir. Great to know you.
Too.
We always want to leave the interview with something inspiring for our audience. What is something inspiring that you live by, or a quote or a mantra? What is it?
Yeah, so one of the things I really believe that you can be anything you want or get anything you want if you work hard enough on it. And I think like a lot of people, they're busy, they go through their days, but some of my most successful times and things that I've won in life was when I just sat down and I listened to music and I just visualized what I wanted. That seemed to work the very best for me to get anything that I want. And I just think that anybody can have that. I see so many people that are without and they want more and whatever. And I just think like, if you just plan and take action and visualize and strategize and learn, you can get anything you want. So that's what I would share.
Love it, sir. So that's a good way to end the podcast. Thank you for coming on. Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top.
Thank you.
Woo! All right.